take your medication, or you lose control.
Tell me we have the right guy downstairs.
You have to believe me.
Hello everybody, it's Aaron back from Screen Stars, and I'm here once again to give you another review for Geek Legion of Doom. And today I am reviewing the psychological horror movie 3, An Eye for an Eye. A movie that essentially only has 3 actors in the whole movie. And it is directed by Lou Simon, who directed movies like All Girls Weekend and HazMat. And it stars Aniela McGuinness, Todd Bruno and Mike Stanley. And this, like I say, it's a psychological horror. Essentially starts with an abduction, a kidnapping. There is a doctor on his way to see what he thinks is a patient. The road is blocked, he gets out to see what's going on, and essentially he gets abducted. He gets tied up in a basement, and we then learn that the reason he is there is there's a man and a woman that have abducted him, and the woman is basically saying that a year ago this guy raped her at a party and he got away with it basically. So this guy has decided to help her, and he's an ex-vet. I think he says he was a medic in the film, so he's an ex-vet, and they met at like the psychiatrist's office, you know, because obviously she was very damaged when she was raped psychologically, so she needed help, and he was there for his post-traumatic stress, so they kind of met, and he decided he was going to help her. He didn't want this guy to get away with rape. So the idea is they're going to tie him up downstairs, and he's going to use what he learned in the military to basically get a confession out of him so that he can go to jail. And yeah, at this point you think, okay, this is all pretty standard stuff. And at that point I was kind of thinking, I wasn't expecting much out of this movie. It was kind of paint by numbers by that point. And then there's a few things happen in the movie that initially they say some things and you think, oh, this is going to be quite a predictable movie, and it doesn't end up being that way. And then there's some things also happen in the movie about halfway through that make you sit up and take notice, because it goes down a very misery route. The Stephen King misery film, it goes down that route about halfway through, and it really took me by surprise, and it was actually very graphic. Some of the torture scenes that we see in this movie, it took my breath away, a couple of them, I'll be honest. So it goes down the first 40 minutes of this movie is pretty bog standardy stuff, psychological thriller horror type stuff, and then boom, it triggers the horror alert about 40 minutes in, and it gets very horrific very, very quickly, and you learn that this guy's pretty disturbed basically, and it hints a few times that he's not taking his meds, and he gets very upset when he doesn't take his meds, and then there's a few things said that just keep you guessing throughout this movie, is the best way I can describe it. And I genuinely didn't think this film was going to be anything as complex as it was, or engaging or interesting, and it kept me guessing for a good portion of this film. It did get to a point where I'm thinking, I wonder if this is where this is heading, and it did. It went down the route I was expecting, but that was fairly late on into the movie, and I couldn't describe it as predictable at that point. So I have to say, guys, I wasn't expecting as good a movie as we got here. Like I say, there's only 3 actors in this movie. You've got the guy there with the mask on, you've got the woman who was subjected to rape, and you've got the guy tied up downstairs. And it's a psychological horror from that point on. And you're trying to figure out what's going on, because it's how I've explained the movie and the premise is actually not what it is, and obviously I can't say anymore because I don't want to give you any spoilers, so you'll have to watch it. but I do applaud this movie because it was far more intelligent than I expected it to be. And I have to say, I was glued to the screen watching this movie, guys. I found it really, really engaging, and a lot of fun at times, and pretty shocking too. So this speaks to a lot of audience members, I think. If you like good psychological horror, you're definitely in there. If you like, you know, some of the like the Hostel type movies, things like that, you're probably gonna find some stuff here to enjoy. It really doesn't hold back, this movie. I was very, very surprised by that. And I have to say the performances throughout were fine. I have no problems with the performances. It was definitely well written, and a well made movie. It did beg the question. I was watching it and I was kind of thinking, what would this movie have been like with, you know, and I don't want to disrespect the actors that were in it, but if you had like top A-list actors in this movie, you know, on a big production budget, and, you know, and even more money thrown at it, this could have been, you know, the psychological hit at the cinema, I think. Because I did enjoy this movie, guys, and there's a lot here to enjoy. In regards to weaknesses, things that are wrong with the movie, there isn't an awful lot, other than the fact that it does feel quite enclosed. They've only got 3 actors in the movie. It is reasonably cheaply made, and you can tell that, but it's one of those movies that you could put on a stage. Do you know what I mean? It's one of those type of movies. The location didn't particularly matter that much, because it would have worked well as a stage play, this type of movie. So yeah, guys, I'm gonna give this movie a pretty strong 7 out of 10. I think I did enjoy it, and I think if you like good psychological horror, there's stuff here to enjoy. Nice little surprise, this movie, guys, and I do recommend you checking it out. So 3, An Eye for an Eye. Keep your eye out for it, guys. It's due out on video on demand very shortly, so thank you very much for watching.